to Finding a Toria. We are, if you're new to us, three friends that get together, hopefully weekly, to discuss TTRPGs, our shared experiences of over, close to 100 years running and playing these games together. And we have started this little venture to sit and talk about the topics that are important to us, important to you, and to share some fun from the world that we build together. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and welcome to Finding a Toria. In the studio with me, Malcolm. I have Tori and Katie. This will be our host group for the podcast.
Arcadia.
It's going to be edited to Arcadia for the podcast.
And I don't really care, yeah.
So Tori and Arcadia are here with me, and today we've got a couple of stories and some things, but let's introduce ourselves and go around the table a little bit.
Oh, me first?
Yep.
Right.
Yes,
Saw you.
Yeah.
I'm Tori. I've known these yahoos since we were early teens, if not younger.
Yeah.
I've been gaming with specifically these two since then, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've played lots of games.
I
have lots of opinions on a lot of things.
And things to say on some things. We're going to talk about TTRPGs today in general. Now, we have played a high fantasy D&D setting at our table for a long time, amongst other games. But looking at the hobby as a whole, Katie, Arcadia, jump in and tell us a little bit about you, your experience, what got you into the hobby, and we will move forward with today's stories and topics.
Sure. Arcadia, and let's see, I have been playing since
Your
I
whole
was
fucking life. Like, let's see.
I mean, 8 or 9-ish. Yeah, my whole life.
Oh, sorry, Jess. Jess. There's going to be a lot of that. We might just have to use that as the edit for that word.
The edit for that word is going to be, sorry, Jess. We'll tell you more about
that's going to be edited out. My bad.
Soon, but
yeah. So I started playing because my dad was into the game, and he played with my mom and coworkers and friends, and he brought my sister and I to the table when we were really still pretty young.
Wow.
And then met you yahoos and thought, hey, let's play this with friends, not just with adults.
Well, and I had forgotten to say that I didn't realize my dad played until after he passed, when I found his set or his dice, which were my first set that I actually played with, were dad's dice.
Very cool.
So.
Very cool. And thinking back, my personal experience, I really didn't get into the hobby until I met you two. I had some negative experiences with it before, which we'll get to. But I think part of our conversation today is going to be, since we have this breadth of experience between the three of us, one of the conversations that we've been having a lot and that we see a lot on social media is, especially with the drop of the new 5e rules and then the new content that's coming out there, is this evolution of the game and the hobby and the culture and the space, going back to even before us. There was D&D before.
In the time of long ago.
Yes, absolutely.
In the before
not
time.
Too much before
Not
us.
too much before us, but we...
It was the same age as Chuck.
We know people that have been around that long, yes. But the evolution of the game, the evolution of the culture, what has changed in I mean, going back to the idea that if you had have told any of us at our first table, oh yeah, major studio movie with huge billions of people playing worldwide, online phenomenon, none of that was even feasible at the time. And it was just a different place. It was a different culture. So today I think that it would be kind of cool if we could get two sides from my two co-hosts about the evolution of TTRPGs as a hobby in our game, and kind of what we've gained and maybe what's been lost along the way. I don't know where we want to start. I was told that I cannot make people roll for initiative on our opening.
Rollies. 19.
Oh boy!
What the hell?
What are your pluses?
Do we have to roll again?
I did not hand out bonuses.
14.
2.
So after a roll off, We should have applied bonuses.
That means I'm proficient in this.
Tori has higher levels.
I have more proficiency in this than she does. I'm just gonna say
You absolutely are a much higher level than I am.
If you care to check my stats here in the yes, absolutely.
Can't tell we gamed, can you, people?
Don't know that I got any relevant backstory to support that statement. So, DM, part of the relevant backstory.
146 episodes of another podcast. I think I got it.
So, start us off with this idea that I don't think is really too difficult to get to. That the evolution that we've seen in this has brought on so many good things in our game. Talk a little bit about what you've seen personally and what you think is most impactful.
Well, okay, so one of the big positives that I think, because there's been a sea change, it is not the same as when we started.
No.
Because when we started, we were the weirdos who played D&D and knew what it was. And we got basically at a table and pretended to each other with math. By the way, that's the game.
That really hasn't changed.
You pretend at everybody else, you pretend and you do math. But
basic math, let's be clear.
Yeah, like,
it's basic math.
we can get into that with Pathfinder when we talk about that and 3.5, because I think those two were the math heavy that we had. But when we started, once again, we were the weirdos. And most people are like, what? Oh my God, that's devil worship and all this other crap. And it's like,
there was some of that out there, yeah, that was just absolutely panic on part of it. And a lot of it, too, is just a general, I don't understand. What do you mean?
yeah,
Oh, my
exactly.
favorite was, you don't look like someone who would play that.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Right,
Sorry,
exactly.
Jess.
And a group one.
Sorry,
Jess.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
Jess.
So one of the good things that it has done, it has brought it to a wider audience, and it is a more mainstream thing. So if for some reason you start talking about to somebody that you don't know about hobbies or something, and you're like, oh, I'm a gamer, and then they say, what kind of gamer? It is no longer assumed if you say gamer that it is a video game gamer type people.
Right, the TTRPG has its place in the conversation
Right.
straight out.
So even that, can I comment? Like when we were kids, and I'm not saying like that the concept of TTRPG didn't exist, but throwing that word around as a commonly known acronym, like, no, there weren't all of these different games. You played D&D.
And it was RPGs before video games.
Right.
where
It was
you could-
RPGs.
It was RPGs, and the fact that we have to delineate towards tabletop now is just fine. But that's kind of the hobby that we've been in, and I think that you get to push back against some of those misconceptions when you have a broader audience. Once again, we've got billions and billions served like McDonald's in this high fantasy TTRPG realm that has now gone, in so many different directions. Certainly not all of them are worshiping Satan and they're free. You know what I mean? Like the growth in popularity is going to mute out and snuff out a lot of the bullshit.
Right. And especially because it's more explained again, and it's that ignorance of what's actually going on during the game. You can now watch without having to know somebody. You can go on YouTube and watch live play.
Absolutely.
That has brought some of its own problems, that the fact that it is so popular now.
It to me, and it's one of the things the accessibility did, and you talk about, you can go out and there's tons of live play that people can go consume now, is it answered one of the questions for the prospective player that we really couldn't answer when people were like, all right, explain the game to me. What am I going to be doing?
Here, watch this video.
sit and watch us play. And I don't want to sit and watch it, but that's how you learn to play the game.
Right.
It's giving people the ability to do that, to experience a table without having to, like you said, find those group of people that are willing to have you over to their house so that you can watch them play. Because I think even today, if you try to explain conceptually TTRPGs or high fantasy D&D to somebody and what you're doing in that game, you're going to go for about 3 or 4 hours.
Oh God, it's so bad.
They're stung.
Absolutely. Well, that was one of the things I thought was interesting is to the idea that you used to have to know people.
You had to know people.
In the second edition Player's Handbook, at the very beginning, it flat out says, if you're trying to learn the game, don't read this rule book first. Sit down and play at a table.
Thank you for buying this book. Now set it down.
And
you'll need it later.
But it's basically saying the best way you're going to learn how to play this game at a basic level is to sit at a table and play it with experienced players.
Absolutely.
And I remember that. Yeah, my Player's Handbooks are very well loved. We used them all the time, but I didn't sit down and learn from the manual. I learned by sitting at the table and people and going, okay, so what am I supposed to do now? And then someone would be like, well, roll that dice because you need to see if you win, if you can get to attack.
And that's something with all of the change, all of the evolution that is not different. That is still the best way to, I don't care how you break it down, phonetically trying to verbally explain the experience of playing a TTRPG to somebody is just, it's an exercise in futility. So I still think that constant is good. And what's grown from it, as Tori was saying, was you have much more opportunity now. You can go and experience that.
Access is so much broader.
Well, and I think what we get to have access to is that instead of you want to learn to play, you need to sit at the table. If you're just trying to figure out, would I even like this? What is this? That's what those videos and stuff are so great for. Or, listening to people live playing. That gives you the idea of, instead of someone stumbling over, well, this is sort of what it really is. You can just sit down and watch a game at any point, at any time.
And evaluate the hobby on its face.
And figure out, okay, that looks like that might be fun.
Yeah. Bert, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say the another good thing about it being more widely known and bigger was they were able to correct I wouldn't say correct because once again, all these editions are of their times and you got to take it like that.
Yes.
No excuses, but that's the way it is.
You know better, you do better.
Exactly. So a lot of the inherently, and this is no joke, there was some inherent racism.
Absolutely.
In some of those first editions.
Sure.
What they have done is they've backed out of that kind of specificity. Oh, I almost got that out.
So you can say.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I know. Wow. But it did back those up, which made some of the old school folk be like, no, that's not okay. That's not how that was. But honestly,
if the intent is to make it appealing and more inclusive to more people, then you need to remove what a lot of people found problematic.
Right.
And I think like anything in media, we can go to movies, any form of media at the time that it is delivered. If it's going to continue, it needs to evolve to what its audience has become.
Yeah, and there's with that change of, and I'm assuming you're getting to the idea of, orc doesn't equal evil.
Right. Drow,
right.
Not inherently an evil race.
Right. And to me, that change adds depth of reality to the world. People aren't good or evil just because of some character trait. People have experiences in their lives and become what they become because of those experiences. So if you are saying there's a certain type of species that is inherently evil simply because it is that species, it's not realistic. Now, some people, like you're saying, some of the people who've been playing a really long time, they're frustrated with that because I think they like the hero story.
Right.
You have the big bad and you have the great good, and it's very clear cut and dry, and it's the hero adventure to save the world from the big evil. The thing is you still get that. It's just not dressed in a certain form consistently.
Well, and along with that, with the one thing that I found it's because it is that epic storyline, But unfortunately, in this world, evil can be very mundane.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the fact that the big baddies that used to be the big baddies aren't, but I still think that leaves open for way more insidious shit.
Absolutely. And I also think that we drill down to a very common point that I think that we're all going to get to in different conversations at this table, which is play the game you want to play.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
you are able to, and this is the big thing that I love about this. If you would love an evil troll, guess what, buddy? They're dressed up. They're there for you. If you would like an orc that is going through existential crisis about violence in its own world, rock on. You do not have to hold to anything. And that's also one of the cool things that I think has come from this evolution of the game. And we can get into, you know, what everybody's doing, which is adjacent to major publishers. But the freedom kind of came with this expansion of, you know what, we're not going to hold dogmatically to certain things anymore.
I love that because, you know, like, let's just take elves. Early editions, if you were playing an elf,
You had to be good.
You had to be good. You had to be lawful or
Absolutely.
chaotic good. You had no choice about that. That was how it was laid out. If you are this species and at the time race, you know, that's what you had to be. And it just limits. And I think we've talked about personally before, more is always better. And it doesn't mean you have to use the more,
The options are
but
there.
it adds depth. and it
Different
adds
interpretations
options.
give depth.
And then your table becomes what you want it to become, and your table becomes unique. There is no table that's going to be exactly the same as another.
Which is a good thing, in
Right.
all honesty.
Yeah.
A very good thing. So what else have we seen in this growth and expansion in this? What have we seen culturally and inside of game tables that is positive and is kind of new? What are we learning?
Well, I think the one thing, since it is so mainstream now, you can find so many versions of live play on, like, through podcasts, through YouTube, through subscriptions to other stuff. All that you have access to, which is good because it shows people, once again, it's not as complicated as you think,
Right.
which gives it that bigger thing, but that leads into its own little problem.
And I think that we are going to transition here in just a second because the other side of this coin that Tori just teed up for us is, with all of this might come some, if not inherent negatives to that growth and expansion. Some of the ideas of things that were lost along the way from players that were playing, you know, before us in the time that we started until now. Is there space in the landscape to look back with maybe a little bit of, you know, and we're going to take a short break. Talk about a couple of things that are important to us, and then we're going to come back, and Arcadia is going to bring us into some of the other sides of what's a very general, broad, high view level conversation on the evolution of tabletop role-playing games in our time and space. And we'll be right back with Finding a Toria. Welcome back to Finding a Toria. We had just taken a little break and are back with our discussion today about tabletop role-playing game culture, community, evolution from our heady days as youths in the early 90s.
How about the mid 80s when I started playing?
Absolutely. There were some of us came out of the womb with a D20 in our hand.
Not quite that bad.
She chucked it at her dad.
Roll initiative.
She cast magic missile. On the day she was born. So
My dad did give me Idri as a character.
I'm sure
Oh, it's all Dick's fault.
it's unfortunately something that we're still going to blame you for.
Oh, I definitely modified her by the time we were playing, but that was her origins.
And I go back to some of those days and put a little personal tint on what we're talking about is you know, the evolution of the game and sort of some of the things that we picked up along the way that have made it so much better, and why today's version of TTRPGs and games like D&D and you take any title you want, we have many books for many of them, but they've all kind of experienced this same sort of trajectory, probably none as large and as obvious as Dungeons and Dragons and its evolution and footprint that it has now. When I look back, though, to when I fell in love with the hobby that we've been at for 33 years plus, for some of us, I'm sorry. Arcadia's getting the "I was there first" sticker today.
Oh, yay. I collected
Back
the
in my day.
Pepperidge Farms remembers.
Want a Werther's, Grandma?
I believe you're older.
Fuck off. Sorry, Jess. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Jess. Yeah, the sinking fields in the podcast studio are deep today. I'll bring us right back around to one of the things that I think is ubiquitous throughout the hobby for me is that space, that table, that is sort of that magic circle where the rules of everything outside of the circle don't apply. And I think it's one of the things that has kind of kept me from embracing as much as I thought I would the online versions of and the ability to meet with groups and games in a virtual space. Because for me, that physical table and those physical interactions and those things are still very key to me. But I wanted to turn it over to Arcadia, who kind of had the job of analyzing this from that side of the evolution has meant so much growth, so many good things. What, if anything, are we not taking into account?
So yeah, I find that a really interesting question, because I think it's obvious that with any type of change, there's going to be benefits and there's probably going to be some downsides. And because we love the game, we want to focus on the benefits, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the question that really kept hitting me is as I try to actually embrace the cultural changes and the community changes. I'll give the example. One of the things that I've considered doing is, running games as a DM for pay at like a game store.
Professional DM, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Which we've been DMing for a really, really long time.
Could you imagine asking somebody in the early 90s to pay you to run a game?
Right.
Oh my God, you would get strung up by your toes.
Right.
They would have been like,
Pardon me, Brett, do I have a deal for you? So what we're going to
Right. Absolutely. And one of the reasons why I haven't jumped on that, even with decades of DMing experience, is that I am not certain this idea of DMing as a job really is something I would enjoy. That you are sitting down, at least for session 0, with strangers, virtual strangers, and
customers,
and customers,
Yeah.
customers.
that makes
And it turns it into where instead of a game that I'm sitting down with my friends and I am building a world together and telling a story together, which is still what you're doing, but it becomes transactional. It becomes, I have to produce a product that my customers want and enjoy and feel that they're getting their money's worth. And if I don't do it to the quality of standard that they want, then I don't continue with that job. Just like any other merchandise.
It's going pro.
And I see a lot of value to the fact that is offered, because you legitimately have people who don't have a table of friends to game with, or don't have people within their community. Maybe they're in smaller places or anything like that. Their only ability to game is to get online in one of these settings that is a professional setting and get together with strangers and do something.
Or travel to the gaming store and try to seek that out. Yeah.
Right. Like I have a cousin who plays, and they live in a very, very small town in northern Wisconsin, and they play digitally on Discord with people all over the world.
Yep.
And that's the only way they've ever played because there's nobody in their community to play with. And I think that's great that they've found that community. But I think the downside of that is that that world can be overly transactional. And I think you see that when you're on the Facebook resources and things like that. People are really, really critical, and you get it from both sides, both from PC sides and from DM sides. DMs making comments about, well, my player's not paying attention, you know, or you know, this player did XYZ thing at the table and it really just pissed me off, or the opposite of my DM, you know, didn't do this one thing or should have done this other thing or broke this rule. And it's that customer service.
So I kind of wanted to grab onto this and maybe even do a little bounce back to what could be seen as a potential positive there. But I tend to take that same approach in that my question that pops up is, what were we getting at our table 33 years ago that the people that are doing this on Discord servers, VTT, so many fantastic technology options out there to meet with people in the game, are they not getting everything that we got?
So I think, honestly, it loses something if you are not, and not to say that a gaming group that you start with online can't end up being the table you want to be at.
Can be magical,
but it feels like it was way more organic because you had to know somebody and you had to play with that person.
You had to kind of like them a little bit.
Right. And then you might make friends with their friends who do the same thing. You lose that with the pay for DMs. I'm going to say this because I said, we were talking about this in the car actually. People get mad with these pay for play DMs because they're expecting expecting Matt.
Yeah. They want the Dimension 20. They want the their experience.
Matt Mercer, Brendan Lee Mulligan, Abria Iyengar. Like, they're not going to have, like, even if they do all the voices, those people have been playing.
And the question I have is that fair? They're paying for a service.
Absolutely. So you have to set expectations. So everything that I've read on this is your session 0 is your big thing.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
And where people can kind of, hey, your session 0 is free. I'm going to tell you how the game's going. You're going to get a good sense of everybody else around. And if you drop out and you're not on the hook for it. I like that.
Yes.
But I think that there is a social transaction change because now, yes, I can look at this as a value proposition for my money if I'm paying and go, well, you know, the DM didn't come around to me a whole lot, so I don't feel as though I got 22 out of my $25 worth, and I'm going to go leave you a bad review now. I think it's an important resource for people, like we said, that want to play but don't have that space, because the biggest thing that I've always heard is that people that are TTRPG curious, I'd play, but I don't know who to run the game.
Right.
So it solves that, and it solves that to a point where people are willing to pay for it, and you have to say that they are because it's a business. People are out there doing it, and there's money to be made. But I didn't want to step over what you were saying. I just think that it's important to know the goods and the bads of it, because you're bringing people into that hobby that would never done it before.
Absolutely, yeah. But I think, you know, Tori hit it perfectly right on. Is that it can be good, it can be great, it can help expand the game. And it might be a magical moment and you get this really amazing group of people, but it's not the same. And you do lose a little something, I think.
And I've seen in the forums specifically, and I feel bad for the DMs who are putting themselves out there because people are expecting specific shit.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody is a professional actor. Matt Mercer, brilliant. No problem with Matt. He's a professional fucking actor, folks.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Brendan Lee Mulligan. Like all these folks have been doing this shit.
And the thing that I think you miss out on, something that I actually really love about our table, is that almost every player at our table has DM'd. That we have invited everyone to DM. that
I'm
and
just
that
thinking about Chuck
and
now.
that every every DM does it differently.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Malcolm, you and I are the longest standing DMs at our table. You much more often than I.
I'm just a baby.
Yeah, but we've even talked about just the differences in style that you and I have.
Absolutely.
You know, you are much more improv, acting, you know, things like that. I am much more sort of have the story laid out and know where it's going and following that. And both bring different benefits to the table. And so to that idea of if you're expecting one kind of DM, you're actually missing out on the fact that different styles of DMing bring different benefits to the table.
While it would be super fucking cool to sit at any of those tables, at least just like one as a guest spot, like a guest character,
absolutely.
that'd be fucking phenomenal. Do you remember when I texted you not too long ago because I wanted to tell you thank you? Mm-hmm. Because I had watched some of the stuff online, and yeah, those production values, they're really good. But sometimes they do too much.
I want to just throw in there that theater is different than running an RPG, and I know that they've cross-sectioned that,
right.
and that they're running a game while this is happening. But you're also observing theater. You're observing
right.
performance and production and hours of where if we got silly enough to put a camera up at our table and look, it's not going to be anything like that.
No, actually, it's going to look.
God.
Right?
Sorry. In all deference, I absolutely enjoy them. I love them. They're doing so many amazing things. To me, that's not sitting down to game because it does not have the bleed.
It's
it
a
doesn't
performance.
have the investment. It doesn't have the agency. It's got all of the things that make it look and sound very cool. You have voice actors. You have a fantastic storyline that they've worked on for hours, and you've got production value there.
Hey, we work on our storylines for hours.
I want to
Let's
watch
own that.
Don't we have a map? Oh, actually, isn't it 2 maps?
And won't we have published
Isn't there a
stories?
timeline? There's some backstories and shit.
The girls just jumped up, claws out to defend our entire operation. I love it. I'm like, Matt's amazing. We don't have shit. No, what'd you say? What, yes, we have a fantastic map. We have great lore. We do amazing things. I'm just saying that when we get together to game, we also made the decision a long time ago that we're not there to write. We're not there to perform. We're not there to do anything but to game and then glean what comes from that.
Actually, Tori and I had a conversation about that and admiring a lot of what you see people do at their tables in regards to, model worlds laid out on the table.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Or, however
The
they do,
word battle map came up. What's your feeling on that, Malcolm? You don't have to answer. We already know.
Yeah, whoopty shit. Back to Star Wars.
There it is.
If you like them and you use them, beautiful for you.
Yeah, but so we were sort of talking about how we use figurines, we do stuff, but for the most part, a lot of what we play at the table is we allow our imaginations to provide the imaging, sort of like the difference between reading a book and watching a movie, and that it allows us more flexibility in the game. If you have everything all laid out there in a very specific way, if something goes a little bit wrong while you're DMing that story and you need to do a massive pivot, you have the ability to do that massive pivot however you need to do it. And I know a lot of people, they want to play by the rules, which we don't. I'm going to be very clear about that right off from everybody.
Rules as written.
We are not rules as written folk.
Are you trying to tell me that there are rules?
There are rules.
More like guidelines.
Is that what's in all those fucking books back there?
I'll be
You'll
honest.
see the pictures, folks.
We're 2E people. We started in 2E. 2E is a rules or guidelines, and we really grew up that way, and that's how we continue to play.
By the way, 2nd edition Player's Handbook. I salute thee.
Right.
I have distinct opinions about some of the other ones.
Okay, so I agree with you, and I think that the other
Sorry.
thing that you get from the theater of the mind
Just
is...
so everybody knows, we're actually playing 5E.
Thaco, I said it. Thaco.
Yes, Thaco.
Okay? Leave me alone.
I love Thaco.
Explaining Thaco to Chuck was the funniest thing in the face of the planet.
Explaining Thaco to anyone. I think
It's
I
extra
remember
math,
explaining
man.
it
It's
to you.
extra math. Yes, and I'm like, I still don't understand what you're saying. What do I need to add? That's what I need to know.
We're so off the rails right now.
Right.
I absolutely love this.
It happens every time, though.
Where were we at? Was we were getting into the idea that with the expansion comes some expectations.
Yeah.
You're going to have more media to compare your table to. People are doing things with technology right now and integration of things at their tables, which is just incredible.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
They're so cool.
if you've got the inclination and the money and you can go out there and do it, fantastic.
Which, as I think a lot of the old heads, as they retire, they have more disposable income and are like, we're going to do this. This would have been so cool if we were teenagers.
Don't you throw that television out there. That's a battle map, son.
Exactly.
But yeah.
It gets to the idea that definitely have your table, have what you want there and make it enjoyable. Ours has always benefited from a more open narrative style and situation, at least when I'm DMing. I have found that what I've gained from personally DMing our table from this growth and expansion is I'm less afraid to do things.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's because there's more people out there doing more things, and where I would always feel confident in front of our group trying anything when I'm sitting there prepping a scenario. When we were kids, I didn't have chat rooms and Facebook forums of people just kicking out killer ass ideas all day, every day, and you can just soak that up, you know, and there's that's what's helped me is there's just more ideas, good ideas, bad ideas. We're not going to get into the idea that alchemy jugs are being used horribly in this game in the world.
But they're
horrible things with alchemy jugs. Okay? As soon as people found out that you could fill them with mayonnaise, the world's gone to it.
I blame that one's Travis, all Travis.
That's gross. Because
that is all Travis.
I don't know what the cross section between some really funky, freaky people is and our particular hobby, but yeah, just about every story you get from every DM is.
The funny part is, some of the shit you see at Gen Con would be at home in several kinds of dungeons.
Absolutely.
Just going to put that out there.
On a Patreon episode, we'll talk a little bit more about
My favorite pair of shackles are from Gen Con.
and that's
going to be edited out.
The TTRPG arena's growth has been so important because Tori can find her shackles at Gen Con. All right. The sinking fields have taken over. I think that we can just barely breathe a little bit of air in there. Katie, you had more on this and you keep getting, Arcadia keeps getting cut off.
I think we're going to have to give up the Arcadia.
I think that I needed a big note and maybe we'll just put it there and we'll do better on the next episode.
You were talking about battle maps.
You
And
brought
all
up battle maps.
Well, and yeah.
and Malcolm commented on how horrible they are.
I cringed a little bit, but
No, I just think that part of the expansion of more people, and this goes to our style being more free, open style.
Right.
But as you expand, as you're doing professional games, as you're doing all this, I think the game itself has leaned into a more rules as written viewpoint. I think you're more often finding people who are playing the game in that manner. Because when you're sitting down at a brand new table and you're DMing it, you know, how do you get everybody on the same page? Easiest way to do that, you play rules as written.
Yep.
People can't argue it. It's what's in the guidebook. If you have a question, you go to what's in the guidebook. And I do think that there is something lost. And people will argue with me all day long because some people really love their rules as written. And that's fine. You know, different opinions, different strokes for different folks. But I think you lose the creativity that can occur when you allow a more open approach.
more open interpretation to the rules. And maybe that's something that comes with more understanding of the game.
Yeah.
If I know the rules, I know what I don't like about the rules, and I can homebrew there. But I think you're absolutely right, where there wasn't enough in the resources that we
No.
had maybe to answer all of the questions. And that's where you get your DM and your GM role and would go into the referee thing anytime you guys want to. But
Well, actually,
again, specifically, no. No, it's something that I think you're right is lost for, once again, is it those group of people that are not getting to a physical table with somebody who's able to bend that spectrum. And is homebrew going to be a thing of the past eventually?
I think not, because, well, number one,
Because we're teaching our children to homebrew, man.
well, that's no joke. Actually, they know. I will say Beyond has it set up that you can homebrew really easily with
do.
their templates.
Yep.
They do.
Which,
I appreciate that about Beyond,
Right.
honestly. There's some things I don't like about Beyond.
yes.
But the fact that they do, even though they keep the rules in their structure as you go through, the fact that you can get around that through homebrewing on their format, it
I still owe a subclass.
makes it worthwhile. Yeah.
So.
Very good discussions today. Any last thoughts on from either one of you on our evolution of TTRPGs? Just kind of gloss over discussion. I don't know that we went really too deep down any rabbit hole on it, but suffice it to say that there is good, there is bad, and it's something that we should probably keep our eyes on as members of the community to see that the good things are being pushed more forward. And
I'd
that
come around to your constant, more is better.
more is always better than less.
I mean, even though I'm not necessarily that kind of DM,
No, but
but I will say this, that welcome to the new folks.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay.
However you want to play.
Yep. Your table isn't going to be my table unless we meet and I think you're cool. But I have a pretty kick-ass table.
But play your table how you want to play your table.
Right. And there's a saying that no D&D is better than bad D&D. And that is, honestly, I could see that.
Yeah, don't be in a group of people doing a hobby that you would otherwise like but you don't because of bad people. Find your table. Take the time to find the space that is going to bring you joy in this hobby.
Yep.
And it's something that we could go down this path, and I think we probably will on future episodes even more. But I wanted to kind of wrap us up today by thanking you both for coming in and having so much good information to share. If you would like to find more Toria, we are on all of the socials, and we're happy to interact with you there. You can also reach out to us at www.wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And yes, definitely comment on anything that you find out on social media. We'd love to continue the conversation forward. We will be back in Atoria soon and hope to see you both back here with more stories. Tori, Arcadia, anything else before we let them go?
Being a geek kicks ass.
Absolutely.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.